We're going to be moving on to the topic that is of very high interest to catechists of children and catechists of teens, and that is keeping discipline, the D word. But before we start lamenting the behaviors of some of our learners, let's take a look in the mirror, or at least the rearview mirror, to recall what kind of students that we ourselves were. So Nick, let's take people into this next poll.
All right, Joe. The question here is, what kind of a student were you? And the answers are all tongue twisters, so bear with me here. Answer A, please select this if you were a downright devilish Donna or Don. B, if you were a mischievous Mike or Michelle. C, if you were a sneaky Sam or Sarah. We have D, if you were a cooperative Carrie or Cameron. E, if you were an angelic Adam or Alice. And finally F, if you were a teacher's pet Tom or Terry.
Okay, Nick, we know that you were mischievous, right?
I don't know if I want to admit that with this group, Joe.
Oh, putting Nick on the spot. Well, thank you, Nick, for outlining that poll for us, and we'll get back to the results in just a minute. But let's talk about discipline. I'd like to draw your attention to a couple of words that just came up on your screen, and that is the word disciple and discipline. It does not take a rocket scientist to realize that those two words come from the same root. It is a Latin word which is dicere, which means to learn. And so disciples need discipline. Those two words go hand in hand. If you think about what we as Christians do during the season of Lent, when we try to strengthen our discipleship, we practice disciplines, prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. And so discipline is very important. It takes discipline to follow Jesus, and we're doing young people especially a favor by keeping and teaching discipline in our settings. It's not an interruption of our teaching, it is part of our teaching. So, Nick, let's see what kind of students that our catechists were themselves.
Hey, Joe, we have a great group here, and I mean that for their great participation and because nobody answered A with a downright devilish Don or Donna. We had a runaway lead here with the cooperative Carrie or Camerons in the group tonight. So good participation. Thank you very much, everybody, and keep sending in those questions.
Okay, that's great. I'm not surprised. Catechists are usually people who were pretty good students themselves. I'd have to say I'd be in category C. I was a little sneaky. I had one of my Jesuit teachers in high school said, Joe, you tried so hard to be bad and you failed miserably. So I tried to be bad, but it didn't work. Thank you for sharing about that. Well, let's take a look at what we can do in our sessions to deal with this idea of discipline. First thing that I'd recommend, understand the role of discipline. And this means that realize that discipline is a means to an end. It's not an end in itself. You can enforce very strict discipline and have not a sound, not a peep in your classroom, but is it at the expense of rapport with your students? Is it at the expense of faith sharing? Is it at the expense of a communal sense? So just having quiet is not the answer. You want to make sure that the discipline is a means to an end. The second thing I'd recommend is identify the improper behavior. In other words, you don't want to just unleash a torrent of anger at a group and say, all right, all of you, shut up. You really need to zero in on the specific individuals and the specific behaviors. And something else I would add to that is take every opportunity to explain why good behavior is so important and why religious education is so important. A lot of times when I correct students, I end up by saying, and I'm really disappointed because I just feel this is so important for us to be learning about God, and it pains me to see you acting like this. So never hesitate to share that with them. Number 3, don't panic. Don't lose your cool. Certainly be firm, be authoritative, but show that you can discipline while remaining cool. Young people would like nothing better than to make you lose your cool. So don't give them that pleasure, all right? Number 4, and this is a biggie, avoid interrupting your lesson as much as possible while you're teaching. Walk around and position yourself where there's trouble. Go and stand next to or behind the source of the trouble. Make some eye contact with the culprits or the suspects. Tap them lightly on the shoulder or tap lightly on the desktop as you pass by. But do all of this while you keep talking. And you can bring about discipline by a stare or by your presence and never interrupt your lesson. And that is one of the best pieces of advice I ever learned. Next, keep your participants involved from the get-go, from the moment they enter the room. Try to keep them busy. You remember the old saying that an idle mind is the devil's playground. Well, you know, if kids have some space, they're going to be tempted to misbehave. Remind them that they are there to perform or to complete a task, and so the pressure is on them, not on you. So keep them involved and keep them busy. Let's talk about a few more. Number 6, ride your eye around the room, use names, and move around. Now, ride your eye. I don't know if this is a Chicagoism. Steve here was from Philadelphia, and he said, Joe, I never heard that phrase before. I learned it when I was in my college methods classes, and it basically just means to look around the room, constantly be shifting your eyes around, looking at everyone and making eye contact with everyone in the class. So that's what we mean by ride your eye. Using names. If you can name a student by their name, it gives you more authority over them. This is why when Moses asked God at the burning bush for his name, God didn't give him an answer because Moses wanted the upper hand in the relationship. If he knew God's name, he could put him in a package and know exactly who he is. So knowing someone's name gives you authority. So use your students' names. And then, of course, move around the room. Make yourself a moving target. Be in the vicinity of the various things that are going on, constantly reminding your young people that you are there. Check your seating arrangement. Sometimes it's simply a matter of moving a troublemaker apart from another troublemaker or an instigator. In my classes, I try real hard to make an arrangement that is boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. Oh, they hate it because all the boys want to sit together with the boys and the girls with the girls. And when I do the boy-girl arrangement, they're suddenly very quiet because the boys are thinking, oh, I have to behave next to this girl who's probably bigger than me at that age. So check your seating arrangement and do what you can to arrange in such a way that you can make it more effective. Number 8, reinforce good behavior. Don't just be looking for negative things, but take opportunities to tell students when they're doing what you expect and, again, explain why that's so important for us. Make a few rules, explain them, and enforce them constantly and consistently. Don't become a drill sergeant. Don't draw up a list of 10,000 rules. In fact, at the very first class, ask your students to help you identify 3 to 5 rules, and then you can post them and enforce them. And if you ask them to help you, then you can remind them as the year goes on, excuse me, these are your rules, remember? Okay? And then finally, number 10, get to know the age group that you work with. And the reason for this is sometimes what might seem like totally unacceptable behavior is tolerable or understandable for that particular age group. I tolerate a lot of things with my 8th graders because I remind myself, all right, this is what an 8th grader does. It may be unacceptable behavior, but I call it acceptable unacceptable behavior. You got to be a little bit flexible.